Jason covered in mud again. Look, it got to the point where I almost didn't recognise him if he wasn't covered in mud. Jason was covered in mud quite a number of times during the filming of Out of the Shadows.
And in episode 5 particularly, he's supposed to have been out at Harry's farm for the last 5 days and probably not showering or anything like that.
He's dirty, he hasn't showered, his hair's a mess, but he's just so determined to find the thylacine.
Yeah, good. Very dirty. Trying not to express with my face too much so that this stays on.
And rather than just doing, some makeup and putting some mud effects on, Jason was just happy to kind of go and roll around in a bit of a puddle and just put it on himself.
We didn't have makeup that day, but Charlie had to look like he'd been in the bush for about 4 days. So pretty much the first thing I did when I got there that day was go out into the bush, collect a few leaves, and I just dropped them all over myself. That's commitment.
But then over the course of the day, because it was such a hot weekend, he was sweating so much, and so what started as all this mud sort of caked all over him ended up, it was just running down his face.
In between shots, the level of dirt that he had seemed to change a little bit because he'd either sweat some of it off or some of it would just come off naturally. So it did provide a little bit of an issue for continuity, but it did look great at the same time.
I think as great as our makeup artists were, I don't think they could have done quite as good a job of making it look like he'd been rolling around in mud for the weekend.
And then I got in the hammock and I laid down. That's commitment.